welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR, second one of the week. And this one I think is going to be a very easy one for us to do because, this was a good one.
This was not a struggle at all.
No, this is one that,
Well, I don't want to say it wasn't a struggle, but
it wasn't a struggle to continue to play. It was maybe a struggle to beat, though. Today we're talking about the Last Clockwinder.
Winder.
Talking about the last
came right out of the gate.
Yeah, talking about the Last Clockwinder. I've been chronic with saying the Last Clockwinder the last couple weeks, actually. But it's Last Clockwinder, despite any inaccuracies I might say midway through the review or anything like that. And it's what is described on the store under genres as an adventure puzzle game.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd put it definitely stronger on the puzzle side of things. It's made by developers, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Pontoco, and published by Cyan Adventures.
Yeah.
So not bad, not bad. This is the first game I've heard of that I can recognize, at least from Pontoco. And they knocked it out of the park, gameplay concept in this. It's all about clones in this game. All the puzzles in this game, you're not going to be able to do them yourself at all. The way it works is you need to, there's going to be multi-step actions that need to happen. And so you're going to press the button on your left controller, and it's going to initiate a clone creating sequence. And then whatever you do in that time, kind of a robot clone will appear and do those actions. So you might have to, grab something with one, toss it to the other, who then connects something else into that and then tosses it somewhere else. Obviously you can't do that yourself. So then, a couple clones later, you're solving the puzzle. But it's interesting because it's kind of two parts to each puzzle. In a lot of puzzle games, it's just the how. You just have to figure out how to do it, and then you're good. That's only half the battle in this. Once you have an idea of how you're going to solve the puzzle, now you need to execute it. And sometimes that's even harder than figuring out how.
Yeah, and plus they're nice enough to give you some sort of like little achievement,
Mm-hmm.
do this particular action with 3 clones and generate this amount of whatever you're doing. We're going to be very vague because we don't want to ruin what things are because it is in the puzzle genre. So
yeah, and not only that, I'd say as good as the puzzle is, the puzzles, the story of the game is great too. So we're always big on story-based games, not giving spoilers beyond, what the general setting is or characters, yada, yada.
Yeah, we'll give you the plot.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, as the story progressed, I love the gameplay. It was fun, but it was a touching story too. And I think if I knew exactly what was coming next, it definitely would have hurt the experience a little bit because the story was that good.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think that it's not too big of a spoiler to say often what you are trying to generate enough of is various different kinds of imaginary fruit. These are definitely not fruit that I've seen exist in real life, like a banana, or some of them kind of look like maybe an apple.
Some crossbreeds of some weird fruits.
It's some fantasy thing. But, you're in a tree as you discover right away. It says it right from the start. You're in a tree in the sea that just requires constant maintenance to stay alive. And that's kind of what you're doing throughout it. You're going around and maintaining your tree, I guess, just to stay extremely vague.
Yes.
But yeah, so you might go into a room and it'll say there'll be 3 tiers on the wall. So, you have some incentive to either you can take the minimum where you've got the room checked, or you can go all the way to the max reward, which I was definitely obsessed with in the beginning. But it'll say like generate 15 fruit a minute with 3 clones. Max of 3 clones, and then generate 30 fruit with a max of 5 clones, max of 45 fruit with 9 clones, whatever, So there's tiers to each. So I was definitely obsessed with getting 3 stars, or not 3 stars, but hitting that 3rd tier on all of those early rooms. But by the end, I was settling with the 1st tier because they got pretty hard.
Yeah, I did. My biggest thing with going into it was I didn't know if I was going to like the whole, because I love puzzle games, but I didn't know if I was going to enjoy the whole cloning aspect of it. But come to find out, it was just more of a how do I not I guess I was more intimidated about the fact I've never done this style of game in my entire life. But yeah, I friggin' absolutely, it slayed me. This game is one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played.
Yeah, well, again, because there's the how do I do it, and then actually doing it. Like there's many times where I had it in my head how I was going to solve the room, and then it took me maybe an hour of trying to get my clones to do it perfectly. Because you start that timer, it's not like you have 10 seconds. All right, let me restart. Whatever. You might have, there's an X amount of time in that so you got to move fast, and you might mess up. Let's say you got to toss something. I did a lot of tossing for to cut steps and try to hit the third tier. But the problem with trying to toss things and make them into the right spot, it's easy to miss. It's in VR. Throwing in VR isn't the easiest. So there was times to get a puzzle cleared. Dude, painstaking attempt. Yeah. But what's cool is because there's, again, the how you do it and then actually accomplishing it, there's not one way to do any room. I bet you if you saw how 10 different people...
10 different ways, easily.
100%. Even just me and you, we had totally different ways of doing the majority of the rooms.
Yeah. Look, it's one of the most unique puzzle experiences I've ever had. I mean, there's a reason why it won Game of the Year. A whole bunch of people. Yeah,
I think that we forgot to mention that it won Game of the Year for a Meta. That was their Game of the Year. It was a nominee for ours as well. It didn't win. Red Matter 2.
The only reason, I mean, I guess pound for pound, I could say the only reason, if someone were to say, how did this not beat Red Matter 2, it just comes down to probably the overall story.
Yeah, I think
where this story was damn good, but in the overall picture of things, just Red Matter 2. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, this game's good graphically, but
this game's amazing, dude.
So Red Matter 2 with the graphics, the sound score, the unique gameplay, the great puzzles. I stand by our pick for Game of the Year.
I have no regret.
But I won't argue with anybody who picks Last Clockwinder as Game of the Year.
No, it was freaking fan. I just want more of it.
Yeah, it was such a cool concept the whole way out. I mean, and a lot of the story is told in this game. There's some dialogue, but a lot of it's through environmental interactions, I'll say. So this is definitely not a game. Like if you see a way to play a recording or anything, this is not the game that you want to skip.
No, you want to investigate. But just like any puzzle game, you want to, if it's investigatable, investigate it.
100%. If it's interactable, interact with it.
Especially because in the beginning, I don't think I had an appreciation for the story as much as I started to gain midway through. And I was like, oh, okay. They really are legitimately going to attempt to tell me a really good story. And then by the end, I was like,
a little touched.
Holy moly. That was freaking fantastic.
No, they did a good job getting me to get some investment into the characters because I'll admit on the start, because they kind of drop you right in. No real tutorial.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
Like I had no reason to care about the characters or the story.
I didn't know I needed to.
Yeah, but like you said, about halfway through,
you start going, oh shit, you're invested pretty deep.
You see one of those cassette tapes to play some more of the story, you're running to it. First thing you see. And the game's got an interesting level movement system where there's a giant globe in the room you're in.
Well, you're in a tree.
Yes. And there's there's a globe on a podium almost that is how you navigate. So you have this a plug, and you plug it into the location that you want to go. But a lot of the locations, they cost maybe fruit that you can harvest elsewhere or other various types of tree currency, for lack of a better term, to get to. So it's not as simple as you can just go to every single location right off the start. Also, a lot of them are locked, and there's items that you can grab throughout the game that unlock more of the locations as you go. So it creates kind of like a linear progression of levels, but non-linear in how you solve each level.
Oh, yeah. Like you said earlier, it could be 10 people are going to have 10 different... Don't get it twisted. After everything was said and done, I looked at some videos people did, and I remember the exact puzzles, but
it's not it's not the direction you went at all.
Holy crap. No, this guy was you talk about throwing stuff. This dude just killed it, but he admits in his own comment, it took him hundreds
Well, that's the thing.
Like literally hundreds of tries to pull. And he's being the extreme. So it's like.
I'll say to get the first tier of just completing the room is, it's oftentimes hard, but like it's not spend so much time where you're going to end up spending an hour in a room just retrying is when you're shooting for that third tier.
Yeah, and you don't even have to.
No.
You just have to complete the task at hand
but
using your clones. But they do the dangle the...
And there is a little benefit in the game to getting, more currency. I mean, granted, it reaches a point where it doesn't matter, but it's, it can be beneficial to you to be generating a little faster too.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, by the end, it really doesn't matter.
You can do it with the minimum or you can do it with the maximum. It's not going to hold back your progression, just how fast you might develop something, of course.
Right. It was funny, though, like I said in the beginning, when I didn't really care about the story, I was going for the third tier always. But by about the halfway point, when I just wanted to find out what was happening next, because now I'm sucked in, I started settling for the first tier or the second tier.
Settling. I had gone back
and redid
some shit. Just not even because it needed to, just because I was like, oh, I already knew. Now I know I can do things better than I did when I first started playing.
You think back to how you solved some of those first levels once you really understand the game, and you're like, I was such a noob with what I was doing.
And when you go back to a level you've already done, all your clones are there still doing it forever.
Still producing.
So you can go back and make changes at will.
But, because all the clones act in sync with each other, I guess you'd say oftentimes I'll have it set up so delicately that I can't just make one change.
You disturb one thing, now you've got
I got to fucking change like 4.
Replicate the exact to the second movement.
Yeah,
that's just probably not going to happen.
You end up just making a whole new second clone too. And
it's happened to me because I had a clone doing multiple tasks and
oh yeah,
I accidentally deleted something like one of my clones and I was like, oh shit.
Oh, that's the worst when I've accidentally deleted the wrong clone because I'll accidentally make a second one and
have them too close together and you accidentally delete the one. Yep.
And then there's no undo. There's no undo button.
No, you're like, oh, I gotta literally start from scratch with this. This is crazy.
And before we keep getting carried away, my fault on this. I got a little excited in the start. We went over who developed and published it, but just to be fair, the game did come out June 2nd, 2022 on the official Metaquest store. Like I said, Metaquest Game of the Year winner. It's $24.99 on the official Metaquest store with a 4.8 overall with 510 total ratings and 315 written reviews. 4.8 is damn good for a story-based puzzle game.
Yeah. But it's like, in all honesty, what are you going to say bad about it? What are you going to nitpick about it and say,
had compelling story.
I don't know, man. I'd love to talk to the 1%er that, hates everything in life. But at the end of the day, there's really nothing to dislike about this whole game.
Agreed. It was a gameplay concept going into that I was a little skeptical of with the cloning. And by the end, I was in love with. I was like, give me more.
I want more. I want more games like this, or I, love a sequel. Or
well, again, it's such an interesting take to a puzzle game because I've just never seen it so much where it's not just figuring out how it's actually being able to pull it off, which oftentimes like
using your movement.
Yes,
you created the movement.
Yes,
it's 100% you
and your idea of how to do it because it's not ever just one.
Robot.
Yeah, forever.
Yeah,
automated. But there's never just one way to solve a puzzle. I mean, there's some rooms early where you can optionally get a tip.
Well, that's what makes it unique. Where other puzzle games, which we love them all,
there's one way.
There's only one way you're going to solve the puzzle. That's your brain thinking it to the method that it was meant to be. Where this way, it's like you can unlock your brain and do shit that because of those clones. I mean, think about it. If you had 10 clones in a ball, the fun you could, you create anything. So, I mean, this game allows you some, creative freedoms.
Yeah. And there's another.
So I would challenge anybody. You can't say anything bad about this game.
No, like I said, good story, good gameplay, good graphics, no real glitches. I did have a couple funky moments where it started happening towards the end. Every time I loaded in the game, on my load in, my character would fall through the ground. but then it would just teleport me back into the main room. It was weird, and then I had some jank with levers a couple times, like because there's often times in the game through various reasons, you or a clone is pulling a lever, and there's some times where I had the lever, it would like come off the freaking thing, into my hand, and like it was.
I know
all,
exactly what you're talking about.
So the levers were probably the jankiest, and just anything involving like a switch up and down.
Because I know that exact thing I think you're talking about. And it's like, it has to be done perfectly. Or like you say, you can actually physically see it like move at a 45 or.
Yeah, I've moved it freaking far off the thing.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't work properly, even if it's still kind of attached.
It has to work perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So the levers were a little janky. And then sometimes
I thought that was on purpose.
It might have been. To me, it was no.
I felt it on purpose.
That you just have to make it even. Yeah.
Like you're not going to. It's. Because you're dealing with time as a factor as you're trying to like, okay, this is my clone time. So whatever amount of seconds, which we do know the answer to, but there's a reason why we're not saying it. And then you go to do it and you just do it too fast or something. And it feels like it jammed. It doesn't move. And then, reset and restart. And then it goes all, so it can only be done one way, I believe. So I got pretty good once I figured out like, dude, I did it so bad on one. I was like, well, this must not obviously be part of it. This is just to distract me. And I realized, no, it's just me not doing it properly.
Yep. And there's some of them do that. I mean, we got stuck on completely different ones, but there's some like intellectually I was stuck on of like, what in the world do I do here?
Dude, there was one, this has never happened in a puzzle game with me, but I went to find the answer on the internet.
You had to look it up?
And I went there, and as I was like watching the start of the dude's video is when it kind of like gave me my own idea. And then I didn't need the video, but I literally was at that point where I had someone's video up playing.
Ready to find the answer. Wow. That's so against your philosophy of puzzle
games. I'm like,
games.
because there's just something I'm not understanding. And then, of course, I'm feeling guilty that I even have to do this.
I'm glad
like,
I didn't.
This is crazy. And then there was one other puzzle where I couldn't figure it out. And then I went to bed that night and it kept me up. And I actually figured it out in my sleep. And then woke up the next day and like.
And did it?
And it worked exactly like.
That's awesome.
It opens up like the mechanical side of your brain, definitely.
It's an engineer's wet dream because, like, again, there's so many different ways to do it. I bet you that there's ways that the developers have seen.
I was so close. I had to cheat. I was so close.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't, but
I'm glad it triggered my brain to go try this first, and then I'm happy I did.
I think the developers themselves, there's no way that they know every possible way to solve the puzzle themselves. They've probably seen some videos of people doing it and been like, oh, shit, never even thought of that.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it's so up to your... Look, they give you the game engine, and they give you the challenge of what you need to accomplish. Now, having the game engine and knowing what you need to accomplish, have fun. There's no linear way. It's just totally open-ended.
You are the freaking clone.
And each
room... you have to make that clone, set it.
Right? And each room has different, what I would say, intellectual obstacles of like some fucking annoying shit that you got to overcome with your robots and your brain and figure out, So it's not like you can take your knowledge from one room and that's going to suddenly make all the other rooms easier. Like, nope, you go to a new room, totally different challenge. Maybe a different type of fruit that all the fruit, I'll say, they're totally different. Not just in appearance, in terms of the way that they exist in the universe and like you interact with them. It's, figuring out one room isn't going to make the next room that much easier at all.
No. Oh, God, no.
It's starting fresh right away. Maybe you'll see some reoccurring concepts, but...
they have a take what you learned type attitude with previous rooms you do, it seems like.
But it's not really going to make it that much easier because it's the puzzles get harder as you go, and it's just, such a whole new...
Like I said, there were two that literally just blew my mind and how I couldn't... I'm like, how am I not figuring this out?
The game was good. I'll give them credit.
Yeah, man.
This is one that we slept on for a while too. It was in our library. I mean, obviously we played it before our word show. It's not like, we just played it yesterday.
But man, I feel like every game that sits in our library for a while and we don't play and review right away ends up being the best games by far. That's how Red Matter was too. We ignored Red Matter.
Well, and this was one that we knew instantly when we started playing it that it was like this could be a game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I knew it was a great game just based on what, you look at the reviews alone. It's like hard to find really, really crappy ones. So, I mean, you just know like this is a definite contender.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, well, like you said before, it's anybody that says it is game of the year. Yeah, I don't argue with you.
Mm-hmm. I stand by my Red Matter 2 pick,
Not
but I'm not going to
arguing with
argue
you.
with
No.
anyone. No,
It is literally that good.
And anytime you see that hype from Meta, like we know, Chris Pruitt was hyping it up quite a bit. That like, oh, this is a good concept.
And he
It's like,
already knew. That was before it even came out, I think.
well, it's like when you impress those people, chances are your game's going to be good.
Mhm.
And boom, it delivered.
No, we had some pretty big excitement about it.
Mm-hmm. Overall, though, solid gameplay, good storyline, challenging puzzles, amazing gameplay concept, really unique. I'll say to people too, there's no combat in the game.
Mm.
At no point you're going to be fighting. It's all just
You're never gonna die.
no. It's all problem solving.
Yeah.
It's really cool to send each other how we solved each puzzles. I think this would be a cool one to set up like a spoiler thread in our Discord, and maybe we can have people post how they solved each puzzle. Well, the only way you're going to go in there is if you've already.
You say that, but temptation, it's like right there.
Well, I'd say anybody who would go in there would be the same people who would have looked it up anyway.
Yeah, but maybe
some people like
not
to play.
off the go,
Yeah.
Like, because if I saw a room, it's like, oh, I'll go in there. I'm like, oh no, it's for real. The temptation would be too easy.
Yeah, because I bet you, again, if we had everybody who's played this game in our Discord post how they did each room, it's going to be totally freaking different. In fact, some people would probably then go, well, now I need to go back and edit how I did it before because now I want, now I have some ideas.
I will say for a puzzle game, very few have ever gotten me to go backwards to continue going forwards, but this one did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird because we all know there's not a ton of replayability with
these type of games.
Yeah, not by any stretch, but they did a great job of giving you at least a little bit of a reason to like, hey, you don't really have to play the whole game again. I mean, you could if you want to, but you can just go back and kind of hone up your skills on every single room you did. So, I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's something. And I found myself doing it. So I've never played a puzzle game, I think, where I've gone back just to.
Well, you said it before, you're going to learn more halfway through the game in terms of like how to actually be successful in the game. So then you're going to think back to how you did those first couple rooms.
That's exactly what happened. My brain was
amateur
like,
hour with that.
Why are you kidding me? Why didn't I think of that? Because
you're using
never needed to.
Yeah, so many wasted clones in the beginning, like an excess amount. I went back to some of my early rooms and I was like, dude, I could do this in a third of the amount of clones than I have right now. I was very wasteful in the beginning. You just don't know how to be efficient.
Yeah, and they don't tell you like, hey, you have to do this with five. After 5 clones, you're screwed. No, I never even tried to max out how many you can.
Oh no. You can make even if you don't. So if you don't care about accomplishing the tiers on the board, and
Did you ever max it out,
and where they said I can't make more clones.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Because I had a couple of rooms that I got a bunch.
Because you just didn't care about the.
Looks like a little manufacturing
assembly
plant.
line. Yeah. Well,
this is crazy.
The first room I ever did, I didn't see the board yet, so I didn't know that I should try to do an under X amount of clones. So like, let's say where I started was on one corner of the room, and then where I needed to end up was on the other corner of the room. I literally created like 15 clones that was just doing a handoff. I was like, hey, it's the Henry Ford assembly line, And then I look over at the monitor that's on the wall, and it's like, do it in under five clones, and it says I have 15 or 12 or something. I'm like, what? So then I was like, all right, delete. I was like, let me see how the throwing mechanics in this game works. And then the gloves were off from there.
Yeah.
I cleared that room with 3 stars or 3, getting the max tier on it.
It is a very, very unique experience.
Yeah. Can't recommend it enough.
I do want more styles of that gameplay, though.
Yeah, and we do see one coming up. I forget who it's developed
Different developer.
by. I know it's being published by Fast Travel Games. I think it's We Are One, but that one looks more combat based. But I'm open to.
Yeah.
It looks less puzzly, more. It looks a little puzzle, but more combat based, I'd say, with the little puzzle element. But I agree, this cloning yourself gameplay concept, never thought of that before.
Well, these guys nailed it.
Yeah, and I don't. This isn't something that would work good on console, because the reason why this works so good with the cloning yourself is because
you're the clone.
Yeah, you are doing. It's the gestures.
You're the motions.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you could duplicate this on. Just no friggin' way.
No, and what's interesting too is,
well, I mean, I'm sure you could, but it
wouldn't be the same.
No,
it would be like press this button and for
preset.
Yeah, no,
20 different clones, each doing different things.
Not the same. Not the same.
No. That's what made it so cool. Is and like you had said, I mean, you're not guaranteed you're going to throw something every single time the right way. So when you're putting together certain patterns, we'll say, yeah,
some of these,
you know what I'm saying?
Some of these it took me.
It's like there's one in particular. It's like, wow, you really got to be on your A game with pretty much everything on that whole level.
And some of the later fruit that they throw out you, the way that they are.
Oh yeah,
that they interact and they, dude, it's just so. I remember there was.
Just want more.
Yeah,
I want more.
Such a good concept. What's
been there, done that, beat that. I want more.
Decent amount of gameplay time in it too, but
dude, hours.
Well, here's the thing. It's so hard to say this is how long of gameplay is in the game because it's going to vary so much person to person. How much do they care about hitting all the tiers? You know, if somebody just wants to hit the first tier in advance, that's going to take much less time than somebody who's trying to
do the best.
And also, then besides that, how much are you trying to, hit the tiers? Just how much does it take each person to solve each puzzle? There was, like you said, a puzzle that kept you up for a day or two. Versus
admittingly, two of them.
Somebody might get caught up like that on every single level. Somebody might not get caught up at all.
Thought you were stroking out.
I was. So, it's really hard to say like, oh, this game has 20 hours of gameplay, or because it's really down to the individual.
Yeah, and what's cool is you don't feel rushed in it either. No. So I could see some people going, I don't care. I'm just going for this wicked creative. Everyone's got their own style. So I get why you say it would be cool to have I want to post how you did certain levels and stuff.
But we'd have to make it clear. Spoilers.
If there would be a way that if someone clicked on it, there was like are you sure you want to go in here? There are spoilers. And that'd be pretty cool.
And while I don't personally like spoilers for puzzle games myself, because that's the joy of the game, what's interesting is, let's say you went and watched videos of how to do every single one of these puzzles. Still going to take you a while. Because now you have to
do it.
And that's, like I said, sometimes that's
I
more
think
than
it'd be
half
harder
the battle.
To try to mimic someone else and do it your own style.
Actually, yes, I agree on that. 100% actually, because like how one person's brain works is much different than how your brain works. And I don't know. I agree. If I watch videos of how somebody did it and try to replicate it, probably would have wasted more time on a level than just free doing it.
Yeah, doing it your way is going to pay off much better than trying to duplicate someone else.
So it's the one puzzle game I found that you can look up spoilers, and that's not my style, but that doesn't mean that you got it beat. Now you have to do it.
Yeah.
Have fun. Good luck. Have fun chucking that fruit across the room perfectly, like some dude's videos are gonna do.
Yeah, who spent a whole day doing it just for that one perfect shot.
Go have fun. Have fun.
Good luck.
You're gonna waste so much time and thinking of different ideas, like, oh, should I just start doing this stuff? Nonetheless, though, but great game. Hats off to Pontoco. For $24.99, it's not the cheapest game.
That's not bad though.
No.
You're getting a lot more than $24.99 out of it.
Exactly. Really unique gameplay concept. Great story. Good voice acting. Good graphics. Nothing's worse than when you go into a game and it's bad quality audio and the voice acting or anything like that, or just overall bad voice actors. They had good people.
Even the sound effects are kind of cool. They did little background sounds or noise.
Yep.
Songs. Yeah.
They did a good job. If you're listening to a cassette tape or something like that, it sounds like it's coming out of that device. It's not the same like audio quality as if you're talking.
Oh yeah.
You know, they did a good job with that stuff. So no real complaints on this one. I mean,
no, I mean, I figured going into it, there's a reason why it was always, I mean, right out of the gate, the thing was good ratings. So
4.8, you know, if you're
there's a reason why it was in our list of game of the year also. So
it was a nominee, like you said, Stand by Red Matter 2, but there's a reason this one was in there. And for anybody who likes story-based games or puzzle games,
they've got the bases covered. Yeah.
Yeah, must play.
Plus, it's a unique experience. You know, again, one that I've can't recall ever doing this type of style. The closest I've come to this is like in a racing game when you do a lap and it puts up your ghost car and you're essentially racing yourself now. But nothing to like, come on.
Sometimes it's even fun just to go back through the rooms that you've already done, not even to make any changes, just to rewatch it all go down. I've taken so many videos of like, oh man, this is cool to watch it all in sync.
And
in unison.
the little clone robots are cool looking dudes.
They are. The whole atmosphere of the game is cool.
You can see their face right on the screen if you're watching on.
Yeah, they have it on the cover art of the game.
Yep.
So yeah, you want to get into our final thoughts and review of this one?
Yeah.
I mean, I
don't see why not.
I think we covered,
when something's great, you can't really. There's nothing to dissect. What makes it doubly hard is it's a puzzle game. You can't give away any clues, and this one's unique because there'd be so many easy ways to spoil shit.
Puzzle, you know, solving what to do in the puzzle and spoilers about the story. So we're really restricted.
Yeah.
In that
self-censor ourselves so we don't
so
ruin.
Hard.
I don't want anybody to ever hear this, buy it and be like, oh, you guys actually ruined my experience.
Like I said, if I knew the story going into it or how to solve the puzzles, personally, for me, that would have ruined some of the experience, especially knowing the story. I think, you know,
the story's critical.
I went from not caring about it to by the end, I was sucked in, and that's the reason I was advancing. I no longer cared about hitting the third tier.
Want to know that? Yeah. No, and I'm happy that they invested so much time in such a good story, because if you stripped it off, they probably still could have made it, you know, a fun experience. But I think the story was just adding to that purpose, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to say which aspect was better, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, we'll take a quick break from our sponsors, you know, help keep the lights on. In the meantime, like I always say, go check out our official Discord, our official Patreon, our official subreddit. Discord's a freaking party. If you're not there, you're missing out. It's a good time. Even if you don't know how to use Discord, go join it. Interact with some other listeners. It's a very non-toxic community, I'd say. Very welcoming.
Yeah, I love everybody in the community seems helpful.
And we have a lot of areas of the subreddit dedicated to non-VR talk as well. So it's not just VR gaming, that's some movie talk.
Food, pets, movies and TV.
Off topic.
The more B-rated movies, the better.
So yeah, definitely go check that out. It's a good time, and we'll be back with you in just a moment. This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in Metaquest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The Metaquest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered.
Hey everyone, welcome to Fresh Ball Fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice and making sure your crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in the fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. That's right, today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Heck, even Mother Nature knows it's time to lose the excess clutter for fall. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code Ruff Talk VR. Whether you're brand new or already with us at Manscaped, you could use the crown jewel of care for your family jewels, the Platinum Package 4.0. With this glorious package, you can align your entire hygiene routine all in one swoop. Inside the 10 Platinum Package is everything you know and love about the Performance Package, plus some shower goodies included to elevate your grooming game to platinum. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate parts and holes. Both are waterproof so you can keep scaping even as the weather's change. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo plus Conditioner. You'll have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. Don't forget to apply their aluminum-free Ultra Premium deodorant, and don't worry, it's not pumpkin spice, it's a cologne-quality fragrance. But we shouldn't have a signature scent for our pets. Use Crop Preserver, Ball Deodorant, and Crop Reviver, Ball Toner to make sure your go-to smell is top shelf and not sweaty balls. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts for their Platinum Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and Shed Travel Bag, both specifically made to hold your goodies. Get the Platinum Package this fall. These products are guaranteed to be hits for your dangly bits. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code RuffTalkVR. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when you use the code RuffTalkVR. Manscaped, clear out the leaves. It's your tree trunk's time to shine. Today's episode is sponsored by True Classic. Guys, let's get real for a second. Your significant other will be way less upset about your gaming streak if you're looking fine as hell while you play. Finding that perfect fitting t-shirt can be a terrible experience. The thing is either way too tight, has a case of bacon neck, or is just plain big and boxy. Luckily, True Classic makes quality clothing for every guy. Whether you're on VR, PC, Xbox, PS5, or yes, even the Wii, they've made finding that perfect fit easy with their formula. A closer fit in the arms and chest to show off your muscles. We know you're getting a workout while gaming. Let those toned arms shine. Plus, they leave wiggle room in the torso to keep things cozy. All of their styles are super soft, and it's a great price for what you're getting. So guys, no excuses. Don't be a noob. Get rid of those ratty t-shirts I know that you've been hanging on to for years and get ready to upgrade. We have an exclusive deal for our listeners. We want to hook you up with some True Classic. For a limited time only, get 20% off with the code RuffTalkVR at TrueClassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on a certain body type. Think skinny models with six-packs or Dscruffles over here. But most of us aren't packing anything but a few beers, and there's nothing wrong with that. My dudes, it's simple. You are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classics tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. You can throw on that True Classic with confidence, knowing they've got your bases covered. True Classic is much more than just a t-shirt company. They have all the menswear staples you could need, from polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit to boxer briefs that'll keep your boys feeling nice and comfortable. And for any of the big boys out there, they have tall sizing and up to XXL on all their staple colors. True Classic will make you feel your best by accentuating the places the eye goes to first. Wink, wink. Whether you have abs or a delicious, soft, creamy center, their clothes look great on all body types. Skinny guys, big guys, buff guys, gaming guys, True Classic has you covered. Get comfortable, get going, and upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at TrueClassic.com with the code word RuffTalkVR. Free shipping included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day return policy. True Classic. When you look good, you feel good.
And we're back. So you ready for the real struggle? We didn't do a review last week. So let's see if we remember.
No, we did. I think our last review was Arcade Legend.
Yeah, I went first.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll take the lead on this one.
Sure.
Okay. So like always,
pretty sure you did.
I think so too. It sounds right to me. I'm not going to argue even if not. Because you know why? Because I don't freaking remember. So our gameplay system. Our review system, like always, has 5 categories. I say like always, but that's actually not correct. The number's correct, but we make a small little change in story-based games.
We do.
Because usually the way our categories go, we have gameplay, aesthetics, functionality, replayability, and then value. The problem is in games like this, red matter, green hell. It's not really fair to hit them
with replayability.
No, because it's not it's a one-time playthrough story-based game. That's how all story-based games are.
And you go into it knowing that when you play any puzzle game.
Yeah, or and really most story-based games, unless you fall in love with the story like I am with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I'll still
that's terrible, because if you had $1 for every time you've ever done that from start to finish, you'd be pretty rich.
But overall, though, it's not fair to hit story-based games with replayability. So for these type of games, we change replayability to difficulty. Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
So Stratus, you want to take the lead? We break each one down to 1 to 20 as well, with the total of all 5 categories making up the final score.
The bestest you can do is 100.
The worstest you could do is
0.
I guess 0. I can't imagine myself giving lower than a 1.
If your game turned on, I'd give it something. Come on, a 0.
A 0. So I'd say it ranges from 5 to 100. For somebody to get 5 zeros, come on, bro.
Imagine a 1. Oh my God, something would have to be
that ping pong game. We'll talk about
That's
it one day.
the rumor. You know what's messed up is
I haven't even fired
the
it
ratings are so bad. It's like a 1 point something last time I checked, maybe a 1.2. How's it still there if it's really that bad? And is it really that bad? But I don't want to spend the money to find out that it's even worse than what I'm seeing. So
that'd be the case. You'd be like, I did not.
We're not talking about 11 table tennis.
No.
This is
or should I say, for the old school listeners, should I say Elvin table tennis?
Elvin table tennis?
But
I don't know why they call it Elvin.
Look at these elves. All right,
there's no elves in it.
You want to take the
That's
lead?
a real episode. Yep. So for gameplay for the Last Clockwinder, I got to give them a 20. I've never played this style. I think I've said it like 3 times already. The concept of it, it's just cool, man. It's like it can only be done in VR this way. There's no other platform, like you said, flat screen. It's just you can't pull off your own movement to choreograph something to work in conjunction with what is technically yourself and then yourself and yourself. So I give them a 20. Aesthetics, I'll give them a 20. Everything's pretty tight. I mean, there's some areas that are even tighter than others to a degree, but I got nothing negative to say about the sounds, the music. We will give the shout out to the voice acting. They did a good job. The story's actually like, you get those voice actors who just have the voice, but they don't, like Dateline does a good job because their voice, they bring you into the murder and, oh my God, you're feeling something off that person's voice. And it's like, that's what they did with this. It's like, I felt attached to every character that I was introduced to, including my clones. So aesthetics, I give them a 20. Functionality, I agree with you with the handle, but I blame myself only because the handle actually freaking moves like properly. So I'm like, it'll like kind of show when it's not. So I'm like, man, I really believe that's me. I think it's not working like it's supposed to not work. So I am going to give them a 20, although that is the only thing that I ever ran across that I was like, I don't know, is it broken? But I'm like, well, if it's broken, why is it moving like that? It's like, it's got to be me. And then I do it again and I'm like, it didn't seem to like, and I'm not saying break like it falls to pieces, just you can see it like a socket coming out of the socket. Be like, what? It's not right. So a 20. Difficulty, probably one of the harder puzzle games I've ever played. What tripped me up, and I'd love to say like this is exactly what was tripping me up, and I can't say it, but it's really not so much, I guess, in a way puzzle related, but I give them a 20. It was damn hard in certain areas. And I'm sure, like you said, some people will probably fly right through it. And other people might be like, oh my God, this thing's stupid hard. But I appreciate that, like, you don't have to get like on that little award board they have on the levels to actually proceed. You just have to accomplish whatever XYZ is. So I give them a 20. And value for money, $24.99 is I think, underpriced in the current market of what you see for like this style of game as far as like good puzzle game. So they probably could have been in that $30 market. So yeah, I think it's great value for money, worth every penny. And I think I got more gameplay out of it than I ever thought I would. Because again, I went back and redid stuff for my own sense, not because the game made me. So 2020, they get 100.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a hard score to beat.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's a reason why we both felt it deserved nomination, and it just comes down to other stuff at the end of the day. But it's worthy to me of the 100.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a fair score for such a good game, I'd say.
Yeah.
And now, man, this was a easy one to review, a hard one to iron out my final score on. I would say our review system definitely favors this game. So starting with gameplay, clean 20 on me. I mean, not only a unique and innovative concept, very well executed, brought something really new to a puzzle game that I've said a whole bunch on this episode, but it's not just figuring out how you do it, but now actually being able to execute that yourself. And then, save it with the clones and have them do it endlessly too. So like, while I don't look up how to do, the solutions to puzzle games, like I said earlier, this is the one puzzle game that you could look up the how to, and it still might take you an hour if depending on your ability to execute whatever crazy shit you saw somebody do in a video to get the max tier. So gameplay, clean 20 for me. Aesthetics, I agree with your 20. I'm not going to argue on it. I ended up giving them a 15 on aesthetics. It's not Red Matter 2 level at all, but I mean, the graphics were really tight. I say it all the time. A 15 is good graphics. I like to save the 20s for the things that really kind of like push the boundaries of what's currently, the standard of graphics. I would say nothing about this game sticks out as bad graphics or anything. That the graphics are actually really good soundtrack, but I'm just gonna settle with a 15 on aesthetics. But again, that's a damn good score for aesthetics. Functionality, I did mention my lever issue, but it wasn't enough to deduct points. I mean, that was that and loading in for a quick second, I'm flying through the ground. That's fun for a second, whatever. But it wasn't enough to actually deduct any points off of it. In terms of what the game actually is, there was no instance where I felt I was doing something right and it wasn't working. And so I wasn't able to solve the puzzle, which would be game breaking for a puzzle game. Everything worked the way it should, besides the lever, being able to whip it out and whatnot. And, some of the shit going on, there's some really complex stuff in some of these puzzles. So the fact that it all functions so good when you have 8-9 clones acting it, in harmony together, it's amazing. So functionality, I'm going to give it 20. Difficulty, 20. Everybody's experience with it's going to be different, like all puzzle games. But for me, some of them conceptually really tripped me up. And then actually being able to execute what I had in my mind was really difficult. So that's an easy 20 for me. And then value, I agree, $24.99. It's not on the cheaper end on the Quest store, but the most expensive game I've seen on the official Quest store is $40. So it's not the most expensive either. Definitely could justify the $30 price tag. I think $24.99 almost feels like it's on sale. So I give value 20 out of 20, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, the game, if we had a replayability category too, it would be interesting because for some people, they are going to get replayability out of it because they're always going to go back and try to one up. It's still not fair to hit them on there, but they do have some replayability on it too, but nonetheless. So 20, 15, 20, 20, 20, 95. And I really just kind of hit them a little on the aesthetics category just to be a snob, really, I guess.
No, and I mean, I think sometimes our variation of a 15 or 20 on graphics is there's a thin margin sometimes.
Oh, it's so thin. It's pushing the 20, I won't lie.
Yeah,
that's why I don't argue with yours.
For some reason, the whole
environment.
The whole environment, man.
The music,
Just,
the
you know,
voice
sometimes
acting.
it makes me smile. Yeah. But I can't argue you're 15.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just like you won't argue the 20.
No, I was like totally fair. I could totally see it. And that's the only category I even hit them on. They could just as easily have 100 out of me too. As somebody who loves puzzle games, who's a sucker for a good story, man, they accomplished it.
You know what it got me thinking too?
What's that?
You take the story out of it, just the mechanics of it. But like imagine 100-level puzzle where, you know, it's one of those like, okay, level 1, level 2.
Oh no, this opened up a whole new gameplay style to VR puzzle games to me.
I
agree with what you said. Give me more. Give me more of the Last Clockwinder universe.
Yeah, I'd love to. The whole lore
Spin-offs,
that they got
whatever.
going on, you know, I wouldn't be upset if they capitalized on that.
Yeah, I don't want to, say anything about whether or not they could do a direct continuation because that would be a little spoilers on the story. I do have thoughts on that I would discuss privately with people, but I won't give it on the podcast. But I don't see why you couldn't do other games with this gameplay style, I guess, in the quote unquote universe of the Last Clockwinder, you know?
Yeah, you certainly could.
Do you think that you're the only person who's ever created clones in that universe? Shit had to come, the concept came from somewhere, you know? So doubt you're the only clone maker in the world.
No, I would just like to see more of this overall mechanics.
Yeah.
In some capacity.
But 95, 100, like I said, I think it fared very well in our review system, and for good reason. The game was hats off to Pontoco. They did a great job.
Yeah, they crushed it. I want more.
I know.
That's the only thing I could say. If I had one criticism, is like, shit, I really want more.
Would you buy a level pack for like $5, $10?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Depending on how many levels were in it. Yeah. What would be cool is if they had a...
Because look, your whole globe isn't full.
What if you could create your own level?
Oh, stop. Ooh, the world would go crazy. The community?
Yeah, dude. Some people... What they're doing with what they're given with is just, it's ridiculous.
But call me crazy. Couldn't they just add a couple more little spots on the globe? Easy, you know?
Oh, quite
Not
easily.
that making the levels that easy, but
it's that easy. Just go make your game and give us some more levels over here.
But I'll take a little DLC. You know, why not? You know,
I'll
take a prequel.
Even if this is literally the last Clockwinder we ever see.
The end of the universe of this game.
What are you gonna say? I mean, they crushed it. I would be open to any, dialogue with somebody as to what they didn't like about the game.
Yeah,
but
95 and 100.
I don't know. I'm obviously gonna be a little defensive, I guess. But I wouldn't mind knowing if someone didn't enjoy it. Like, well, what was it that? Was it the puzzles were too hard? I mean, I don't know. I really struggled to find anything.
No, so great game, family friendly.
Oh, yeah.
One of the highlights of the 2022 library.
You got kids. Let your kids play this, right? And you tell them the task at hand, break it down, and turn them loose. And I bet you little kids will come up with shit that, like, adults have never even thought of. Like, well, why didn't I think of it?
100%.
I'm a believer in that shit.
But
give your kid this game to play. And then feel real small when you see that your kid aced it.
But hats off to Pontoco. Great.
If they're
release.
of age to play Oculus,
right?
Disclaimer.
13.
Disclaimer.
So if you like puzzle games, you like story-based games, this one's so in a league of its own. It's
don't sleep on it.
It's like how I feel about hand tracking games and rhythm games. This is a unique, totally different genre of puzzle games than any other puzzle game. Like I said, an engineer.
I'll play any puzzle game though.
Yeah, this is engineer's wet dream. But before we wrap this thing up, I got two things I want to say real quick. First, we mentioned it on Monday, but we're going to be real annoying about it leading into March. We are going to be at PAX East this year. Woo!
PAX East in Boston.
Yeah, so if you're going to PAX East, we're hoping that there's going to be a really good VR presence. We're going to be covering it a bit. We'll talk about it on the podcast. We'll produce some content. If you're going, check out, stay tuned for the two guys walking around in Ruff Talk VR swag.
Cannot miss us.
I promise we're going to have Ruff Talk VR masks, shirts, hoodies, maybe a backpack.
Dude,
we're
coming out with the t-shirt cannon. We're just going to bust onto that floor and let loose some t-shirts.
Right. So
I'm lying, by the way.
If you're going to be at PAX East,
Totally
either as a developer or just a fan, let us know. And, we'll talk about doing a little meetup or something like that. But I'm so excited for it. We've been wanting to do a conference, a VR conference for a while. PAX East isn't VR specific, but they definitely have a VR turnout.
Seems to grow a little. We'll see.
And PAX is some of the big boys, so I'm definitely excited for that.
Maybe we'll be the only VR.
Oh, that would be because there was a good turnout. There was a good turnout last year. I think Resolution Games was there. A couple, there's a good amount. So I hope
we're hoping they show up too.
Yeah, some of our favorites. And then one last thing I want to say right before we wrap this baby up for the week. One of the members of our Discord, Zumbledore, is his Discord name. He had posted the other week that he was working on a beer pong game. He was submitting it to App Lab, waiting on approval.
Freaking real tight,
surprisingly tight,
like graphically better than you'd think a game should look.
So I'll post the link for this game in the show notes as well, which is also where you can find the link for our Discord, Patreon, hint, nudge, nudge.
Coincidentally, if you're going to click on the game, you might. How much is his game going for?
Yeah, his game is going for. So he made a beer pong game. It's $7.99, just launched on the App Lab store. You can play against bots. You can play against multiplayer. I haven't played it yet. I just saw him posting that.
I do not want to play beer pong against a bot. Let's be honest.
He's gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, it's gonna play out. I was saying too, it's like, and I'm not condoning this.
Not saying to do this.
Advocating it.
Theoretically,
I'm not even suggesting you think of it.
It's just it popped into your brain as a.
What if you actually played using alcohol on each other ends of the headset?
Yeah,
so it's like
every time somebody makes it in, you gotta take the drink.
You're not technically drinking alone because there is somebody there, right? It's as real can be. I'm not condoning that. Look, no, I'm wicked excited to try it. I want to try it.
Social VR wins, whether it's bocce time, walkabout, mini golf, the 4 VR, as I will die on the hill of, but forever. But it's 4 VR.
It's 4 VR, bro.
Social VR games kick ass. So depending on how well this one's executed, this could have a lot of potential. Just launched on App Lab, like I said. So it's called Beer Pong Basement. So stay tuned to see how that goes. Yeah, I think we'll have to do a review on it. I'm definitely excited to check it out, though.
With the keg stand update coming soon?
Yep.
I'm kidding. There's no keg stands.
No, but I'm
part of the spring break collection.
I'm legitimately excited.
No, and again, the graphics from what I saw
looked really good.
Yeah, it looked freaking amazing.
Awesome. So, other than that, Last Clockwinder, 195 out of a review system, kicked ass. One of the best games of the year. Beer Pong Basement. I'm gonna go check that out. Stay tuned for us at PAX East. Definitely, even if you're not there, we'll have a lot of content.
March is right around the corner.
It comes quick. So we'll have a lot of content in the post after, and the whole recap of that whole trip, and hopefully we can see you there. And other than that, stay tuned for next week.
Take care.
Don't forget to subscribe and rate us 5 stars, too. Come on.